Sharon and I were living in Miami in the late 60s, close to the Miami River and the 22nd Avenue Bridge. We lived in a little cottage, paid $50 a month. In the meantime, saved our money, hopefully so we could buy a house. But anyways, Sharon was approached by her friend who said that they desperately needed a scout leader in the poor Liberty City section of Miami. Well, Liberty City is a tough place today, and it was a tough place back in the late 60s. But no one would volunteer, no woman would volunteer to be a leader in that area. So Sharon volunteered to be a leader and form a scout group there. Well, she got her scout group together and did regular Girl Scout activities, and one of the activities was going on a camping trip. Well, the camping trip they planned wasn't really out of the city. It was about maybe 15-20 miles away in a park where they were allowed to camp. So they arranged that, and the girls went camping over there. But give you a little background on the difficulty Sharon had getting Cuban girls to go to this campsite overnight. And she had to plead with the mothers, please, please, let your daughter go and enjoy this experience of camping. Well, these Cuban mothers were totally against letting go of their daughters. So between the pleading of Sharon and their daughters, these Cuban mothers finally relented and let them go camping. So they went camping, and now comes my job, how I got involved. Well, they were at the campsite and doing their overnight camping, and Sharon, after the girls went to sleep, bedded down, she calls me on the payphone and said, okay, come over now. So my job was to bring her cigarettes and beer after the girls went to sleep. So I drove over to the park with the cigarettes and the beer, and we sat in the car smoking and drinking a couple of beers, but all the time we had our eyeballs on the girls' tents, so to make sure that nothing went wrong over there. So that was my job as the gopher for the beer and the cigarettes. Well, the next morning the girls went out exploring in the area, and the Cuban girls came back running, scared, really scared. I said, what's wrong, what's wrong? He says, we found Santeria offerings. We found Santeria offerings. So we went over, they took us over to where there was the Santeria offerings. What it was a burnt pile of chicken feathers and bones, and everybody was afraid of this thing. Especially we showed the groundskeeper this Santeria offering, and he was so spooked he would not come back into the area. So Sharon was a scout leader for a couple of years, and then we finally had enough money to buy a house in the suburbs, and we moved out of the inner city, and that kind of ended her experience as a scout leader, since she was now so far away.